Yo, Moist, what up, man?
Doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. My teeth are sore. But other than that, pretty good.
Yeah, I imagine. I've only had one cavity, but it's still a pain in the ass.
I've had 50.
Jeez.
Just kidding, dude. I've had
You should
probably like...
brush your teeth some more.
No. I'm medieval style. I just rub dirt in my mouth.
Oh, I'm sure that works wonders
I
for
like
you.
to go all natural. Gets rid of the
You
stench.
All right. So the main issue I've been having recently is going to be ZvZ. You've answered in the past, and is hold on, I need to make the stream delay. Okay. Anyway, so you've answered in the past. It's mainly decision making and feeling out the game. I've been, besides ignoring pretty much 12 pool because it's kind of just easy. I know what to do against that, but it's mainly past that. It's when I try to go for the +1 speed roach build, I get link flooded, either due to lack of scouting, or I just don't know how to respond correctly, or say if I try to go 2 base or even a 3 base muted, it just seems I'm always behind. I don't even have enough economy, or I'm somehow not producing enough larva, even though my queen inject's obviously not perfect, but still decent.
Yeah. I think the opening just straight birch, it doesn't work on every map. It only works in certain maps. Like if you're needing to wall off with like 5 buildings or something, and if you have more than one entrance to your base, the +1 speed roach build is not the greatest. But on maps where like you can wall off with like 2 buildings and a queen, it's more ideal on maps like that. Also, maps that have a shorter distance between your base and their base are more ideal again for the roach build. Because the longer your roaches have to walk across the map, the less powerful it is, because they can prepare for the timing. They have more time to prepare for the timing the bigger the map is. But yeah, it's not like the end-all like best build you could do. I feel like the meta right now is a lot of like you could still do that build with like the roach build. It's still totally viable. It's not like the best though. Like I feel like the best build that you could possibly get is 3 base Ling Bane. Like you go speed ling expand, go fucking make drones, and then as soon as you start making your lings, you take a third, and then you just go Ling Bane, and you take good trades, and that is the most larva efficient way you can play. But that requires a lot of multitasking and not fucking up, because it's so easy to lose like that too. If you don't look at something, everything dies.
Yeah. Is it more of a? Is it trying to kill them with the Ling Bane, or is it fast?
Yeah, it's just setting. It's just setting up your larva better. Like,
okay.
If your opponent and you both make Ling Bane, and let's say you spend 10 larva, or 20, or 20 is a lot. Let's say you spend like somewhere between 10 and 13 larva on Zerglings, which is going to be 20 to 26 Zerglings, and then you make 4 of those into Banelings. If you make those, so let's just say 13. Okay, you spent 13 larva on lings, and let's say your opponent doesn't realize how much you're going to make with that, and he makes 25 larva on lings, and the other 12 larva the difference between you making 13 and him making 25 larva worth of lings, let's say the 12, the differential, you actually made in drones, and you kept him busy with your Ling Bane in the middle of the map for a while, maybe even killed a lot of his shit because you were good at multitasking it. That alone right there, you're just so far ahead, and then you transition into like roaches. Shit like that is actually like the best way to play ZvZ, but it requires you to pay attention, and it's very meticulous. Because if you fuck up at all, you lose.
Yeah. So always going into that Ling Bane, trying to force out more lings out of him rather than drones, while trying to transition to roach when you have a chance.
Yeah, like all you have to really do is saturate 2 bases, and then you can have a roach warren behind it, and then as soon as you have 2 base saturation, while annoying your opponent with a Ling Bane, or just trying to have map control with Ling Bane, then sorry, I said that kind of weird. I'll just say it again so I don't confuse you. The goal is take map control with Ling Bane. You have a 3rd base. You saturate 2 bases while trying to get map control, or while fighting for map control. If you somehow win the game, then fucking great news. But what your ideal situation is going to be is to just have map control while you drone your natural, and you're going to make roaches off 2 bases, and you'll decide whether or not you think you're going to kill him. And if you think you're going to kill him, just fucking flood him and kill him with like mass roaches. You can even make more banelings with it, and you just go for the kill. if you think your opponent isn't behind enough to where he'll die to that, you make some roaches to add into your army to deal with him in case he all-ins you, and then you just drone your third. But then no matter what, you're either going to do a 2 base timing or a 3 base timing in terms of saturation. And if you can make it to, if both of you like macro well, and it goes up to the 3 base saturation, then that's really all the drones you're going to make all game, and you're just going to keep rotating them around to future bases. If you play like this style we're talking about. And then you can go from wherever you want. Once you hit layer, you can go Roach Speed with Hydras, you can go Roach Lurker, you can go Roach Ravager, you can go Roach Amida. Really, whatever the fuck you want.
At what point would I be taking the third? After the first set of queens, or
first set of lings? Like what you would
set
make?
Of lings.
You'd make like 4 lings, and then you would take your third. So you'd be taking your third probably like at 21 supply, 22 supply.
Before double queen start?
You still start double queen, but you like the second your pool is done, you would start double. You would start double ling, and then you could spend the rest of your larva on drones. But then as soon as you're like you've spent your initial larva, you could send a drone to your third. So like the idea is, your third should be getting thrown down probably right around the time when your 4 lings spawn out of the eggs. That's the ideal timing. Anyone who does it earlier than that has a fucking awkward build.
Yeah, and that would be late enough to a 12 pool.
So you don't 12, down a third. Your natural won't even be done by the time the lings are across the map if it goes 12 pool.
Okay. All right. What I was thinking is I'll have dark minions come in during the game, and then I'll play against him, try out that style, and then tell me what things I need to tweak on, what things I need to work on, etc.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let me send the invites real quickly.
And keep in mind, you can also do whatever style you want. You don't have to do the one I just recommended, because I feel like it's more. The style I'm talking about is something you'll eventually see everyone doing at a higher level for the most part. But just because right now, where are you? Are you in high diamond?
Diamond 2, 4,300 MMR.
Yeah.
A little below 4,300.
If you want to just get into like masters, even GM, you could even get GM with the Roach build. It's just the Roach build doesn't work on every map. But the other build I'm talking about right now, the fucking 3 base Ling Bane into Roach, that does work on every map because it's all about map control.
Honestly, I more like the style of having a good base build, and then transition to whatever I feel like, whatever game, how the game goes.
Okay.
For example, like the ZVP build you showed me, where pretty much 3-minute double gas, 350 Roach Warren, and then I can go in wherever I want. Yeah. It works really well because it's a great macro build. ZvZ is I've always struggled with because I don't like cheesing. And the Roach build is great, however, I feel like it limits me and I always get ling flooded right before the Roaches come out.
Yeah.
So having a great safe macro build is what I think helped me the most.
The other thing too, with the Roach build, it helps a lot. If you want to keep doing that build as part of your build order repertoire, you could have an Overlord behind their natural mineral line. On most maps, you could do it without it dying, and you could see if he's actually saturating his natural or not. And if he's not, you would not want to fully saturate yours. You'd probably want to get ready to start making roaches sooner than your ideal timing to do it would be, because you'd know, okay, well, my opponent doesn't make drones. He's got like 1 drone in the mineral line, and I have 12. Let's not saturate 2 more gases and also the rest of the mineral line. Let's just start making roaches now, because I'm probably going to get all in. And that Overlord would tell you everything.
Okay. You good to go?
I am good to go. Whenever you guys are ready. I would say, yeah, just whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, let's see this shit. So, just to keep it simple, just to give you a standard build, this is what I would say a lot of people use when they do this build. Just go 17 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pull. And then that'll give you a quick...
He played Terran.
Oh.
try this again. So 17 hatch, 18 pool.
18 gas, 17 pool. Just go gas before pool, but join up to
Gas
18
pool.
after you go 17 hatch.
Okay, because of the larva efficiency.
Yeah. You don't have to go all the way to 18, but it's fine. You could squeeze it out. And actually, you know what? No, don't do that. I'm changing my mind because if you're gonna probably struggle with fucking all-ins if you do this. Okay, you should actually go 17 hatch, 17 pool, 16 gas. Do that instead. It'll give you lings faster when you get all in, and it'll make it easier for you to deal with people who just like do one base shit. But you'll still get a speed relatively fast against people who go the other thing I just talked about, which is 17, 18, 17. You'll have speed probably like 6 seconds slower than them.
17. You said 17 hatch, 16 gas, 16 pool.
17 hatch, 17
Uh-huh.
pool, 16
17.
gas.
16.
It'll help. Like, I was gonna say just go gas first, but it'll make it harder to deal with all-ins. So fuck it, just don't do that. A lot of people struggle against all-ins because they go gas before pool. They don't realize that having a later ling timing and a later everything basically, because they go for the gas before pool the gas doesn't actually help you that much when you're getting all in that early. Like if you're investing into speed on your lings while you're getting all in, it's probably not even gonna take effect before the game's over. Alright, so yeah, so 17 hatch, 17 pool, 16 gas. That way your larva won't cap and you get a quick pool. There you go, nice. And then just keep droning for now.
19 overlord.
Yeah. Overlord. And I would say make your Overlord in the bottom middle. That's in the middle of the space. Move that up. Like you want to put it probably to the right of his third base. And then your first Overlord could be down the ramp of his natural. Like your Overlord at the natural could poke in and see if there's a natural there. And then just fly backwards down the edge of the ramp. Just to let you know to make sure he expanded. Double queen.
I made too many wings.
It's okay. 6 lings is not that big of a deal. What you should do now is start making drones for your natural and send a drone to your third base with one of the drones that gets built. Or like a drone at your natural or something. And send these lings out right now. Like send that drone that's running over the destructible rocks to your third. And have these lings go forward. And the goal here is to deny his third if he takes one, or if you think you can win a fight in lings, if you have a superior number, take the fight. And now make a bailing nest. And then make drones. So if he doesn't have a third, you can maybe poke the natural for a second, but to scout what he's doing. But don't get too aggressive right now with these lings. Don't throw them away.
Should I have taken any drone off gas?
No. Because you're going to be going Wing Bane with this. So now you want to make some more Overlords so you don't get supply blocked here. And hopefully you can save your hatchery. It's going to be close. That's why you need the Overlord vision. Oh, okay. Just rebuild it when you can. And then now is when you're going to want to make lings. You'll want to make probably like another like 8 larvae of lings. And leave like 2 zerglings at your base. Just leave 2 of them there. That way if you fuck up, you have safety zerglings you can morph into banelings before he gets across the map. And then go back to droning. And then this is when it comes down to you have to just do Lingbane micro and fight for map control. You're gonna want to morph some Banes when you can.
Oh my god, my hotkey.
Just try to keep making lings now, since you're getting overpowered here. But it's going to be really hard. I think you might be dead, yeah. The macro, it's, I feel like right there, you hesitated too many times with the Banes, which made it to where it was just an awkward situation to be in. And then you focused way too hard on doing that, and your macro kind of ceased to exist doing that. So the best thing I can recommend is be more assertive with making the banelings, because you make the baneling nest early when I like.
Yeah.
And then.
So as soon as it's done, make a baneling.
Yeah, you need to make banelings like immediately, so you don't get yourself in a situation where like you see his banes rolling into you and you're just like fuck.
Yeah. I also fucked up my hotkeys a little bit.
It's all good. But this is all about control. Like if you feel comfortable to continue doing it, you can totally keep doing it. But this build is literally 100% about your control. You have to have the control up to par to be able to pull it off.
Now, with the initial links, when I go send them across the map, I don't want to commit with them, correct?
Not really, because if you throw them away, like, keep in mind, you're the one getting a later gas, so the longer you stay across the map, the sooner your opponent will most likely get speed before you. Then the reason why I'm telling you to do this build is because it gives you the advantage against people who one-base you. People who go gas before pool, like the build I was talking about, where they go 17, 18, 17, and they have a really hard time defending their base against one-base all-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Because their fucking lings are able to be built like 10 seconds later, or like 12 seconds later. Alright, 17 hatch, 17 pool, 16 gas. And watch your overload on the bottom again. It's going really south into the air space again. It's kind of pointless for it to do that. Like, I would honestly recommend setting your second overlord up to the natural ramp of your natural, and then having it go across to the left. So you could see if you were to like run lings around your first overlord, you can catch it with your second overlord. Because right now your overlord, when it's going through the sky like that, is going to scout literally nothing. Overlord. And yeah, just make 4 lings when it's done. And pay attention. You're gonna want to pay attention to your first overlord too, to see if he's not all-inning you. You want to see if he runs lings out of his base. That way, if he does, you want to know you can defend your third. Or if you see his third, you can try and deny it or whatever. It's really a judgment call, but yeah, just try and watch the map. So you're making 4 lings and you're making drones. Now send a drone with these lings to your third. And then take your third base and then build a baneling nest. And you see lings coming out of his base right now. Watch that overlord too. So you see 4 lings that just came out of his base. So, and you also have not seen him throw a third down yet. So I would say move that overlord back just slightly. That's in front of his base, just so you don't lose it to a queen or something, because it's pretty close. And keep your lings near your hatchery. Now you can make a baneling nest. Your baneling nest will be a little late. You'll want to make it like as soon as you have 50 gas, like directly after the third. And now once you're at like 32 supply, you'll start making zerglings. because this is usually when the timings will happen. Alright, so your Overlord sees that he took a third after you, but he is taking a third. Just start making lings, and make like another Overlord because you're going to supply block off the next inject. And now start making some Banes as soon as your Baneling Nest is done. I would say those four lings you have, you can make those Banes. Yeah, there you go. As I said, back up just a little bit and make Banes. And now you can reinforce it and make like 2 lings sit at home. Keep injecting. Now start droning behind this. But leave 2 lings at home. Just so you can, or make 2 lings to stay at home or something. Just so if you fuck this up, you can have Banelings. While you're making new lings, you can have 2 Banes also morphing in to help you start the fight off if it goes back to your side of the map. And now the goal here should be to deny his third while you drone. And as soon as you have money to spare, make a Roach Warren. But also focus on the micro. Don't run into a Baneling. Oh god.
Like that?
Yeah. You have to be very careful. Just back up. Or if you can get a good connection, great, but I would just now, you need to, now since your lings are dead and he has map control, you now have to start rebuilding lings again or you're going to die. Like, you have a solid drone count right now, but you're very vulnerable. And now you're the one who's going to be on defense, so a good rule of thumb when you're the one who's on defense, or even offense, when it's Ling Bane versus Ling Bane, every time a fight's about to happen, make like 2 Banes. Every time a fight's going to happen, just make 2 Banes. That way you always have Banes to fall back on during mid-fight. I would say you need to make Banes like right now, or you're gonna die. There you go. And then as soon as your next Ling spawn, make like 2 more. You can also make Roaches with this next Larva inject wave. But you also need Overlords. You gotta keep in mind, your supply is gonna ramp up really fast when you play 3 base like this really fast. So even though it's really hard to do it, because you're always gonna get attacked, you always need Overlords constantly pumping. Make like 2 Banes again. Alright, now I'd say make okay, so you're starting to kill his army. This is when you should push across the map. And behind this, you have 2 I would say make like 3 Roaches, but drone behind it. This way you can you know, if you fuck this up and he counter pushes you again, you can have Roaches to help you. But overall, yeah, it just comes down to whoever. Oh god, the Banes. It's just gonna come down to whoever can get more damage done cost efficiently. That's all it always is. So while you're doing this, you always need to remember inject and spin your Larva. Like, don't even look at your base when you do it. Like, when you inject, you have to look at your base, obviously. But when you make units, don't look at your base. Just like really quickly toggle to the hatcheries and make drones or whatever, and then just fucking resume what you're doing. But right now you can see he has a Spire almost done. A good reaction to this would be honestly to you're gonna need to make Spores. And you're gonna need to also defend this timing now. This is why it's always a good rule of thumb to always have a couple units kind of just chilling back at home. Because if you would have had 2 Banes sitting there back at home, or like 2 Lings you could have made into Banes once you realized, ah shit, I lost the fight. 2 Banes right now could be preventing him from doing any damage to your third while your Lings are spawning. It's just a habit.
Flooding way too much.
Yeah. That's on. This build is not going to be easy to do. It's going to be very. You have to be very multitask aware, and you're always doing shit. It's going to be fucking hard, but this is the most efficient way to play ZvZ. Once you start getting good at it. After this game, let me either play you or minions, one or the other, and
Okay.
I'll try and give you guys an example build of what this could look like, I guess. And in the situation you're in right now, I think the only way you can really come back, honestly, is with Infestors. Going straight up Roach Hydra will probably fail because you're behind in economy. So it'll probably just overpower you with Ling Bane, Muta.
Yeah. Okay. This issue of like you just saw me losing, and then I guess me not sustaining a big enough economy.
One thing
So is it just my micro, not my?
I think
macro?
I think it's your multitasking, and I definitely think to make this style work, you have to be very aware of your units on the map. And I think you open yourself up to getting fucked over a lot on the map. Like, for instance, when you every time you marched out with the Banelings, you always had them in a clump. Like 2 Banes could have eliminated 8 Banes multiple times. Stuff like that. Like, you have to just focus on the. You do have to focus on the units pretty hard. You have to watch them and babysit them a lot to make sure they get good trades. But you have to just take like a second to just like a second to fucking inject, and then don't even look at your bases anymore. Just rally the hatcheries to whatever the fuck base you think is going to need the drones, and then you just, when you have a second to spare, when you're not trying to micro everything, just hit your hatchery hockey, make drones really fast, and then just go right back to microing your shit. Because there's always these windows where you can do it. Like if you're like, oh shit, this is a bad engage, I'm gonna back up my army back up just for a second because I'm about to take a bad fight. The second you back up, make drones, and then go right back into microing again. Something like that. Because if your Larva is sitting there while you're tunnel visioning the Ling Bane too hard, you'll definitely not really be. The whole point of what you're doing is not going to be worth it.
Yeah, it's to be able to get a bigger economy while I'm having him distracted with Ling Bane.
And a good rule. There's 2 good rule of thumbs just to like learn and make it easier for you to like adapt to doing something like this. One is every single time you take a fight and you think your Banelings are going to be used, make 2 big. Just fucking hit your Baneling hockey twice. Doesn't matter what fucking Zerglings get made into Banelings, just do it twice. And then the other one is every time you are attacking, leave 2 Lings or 2 Banes at your base just in case you need them if you fuck the fight up. That way you have something to fall back on every time he counters. Because it's always going to be you to attack him, he attacks you. You attack him, he attacks you. Because every time you're on offense, you're making drones. Every time you're on defense, you're making Lings. So there's always counterattacks. Because if someone ever just attacks you and makes only Lings, it means they're all in. And if you take one good fucking Baneling hit, you win the game automatically. So most people won't just all in you, unless they're like one basing it or something.
Yeah.
Like some people play all in, but yeah.
So you wanted me to face you, or you face minions? Or?
Yeah, whatever you want. I'll just play one, and then we can use it as like a reference, or you could use it as a reference in the future. Because I feel like if you trying to do something when you don't see it is harder than if you see it and then try to recreate it.
Yeah. Then I'll face you, I guess.
Okay. I'm ready whenever.
Yep. So I'm presuming you're going to be doing that to set an example then?
Yeah. I'm going to be tryharding you, and I'm going to be doing the exact build I'm telling you to do. Good luck, have fun. What unit do you think you'd like to make the most after you get through the roach phase, when you have like 3 base saturation? What do you think you would prefer?
After the roach phase?
Yeah, like if you're on 3 base saturation and you've already made roaches and you want to go into something else tech-wise?
Lair tech?
Yeah, like what would you like to go? Mutas, Hydras,
Probably burrowed infestors with if there's queen, if there's mutas, then hydras belong with
so
infestors.
do you just want to do like a ground-based army all the time? Like Roach Hydra, Roach
Yeah,
Infestor?
I used to do a lot of muta, but it's my control, and then like the same problem I'm having now is mutas require
A lot
a
of
decently
babysitting?
large economy, like a 3-base
Okay.
economy would be good at.
Okay.
And I just have this trouble of keeping that 3-base.
Alright. It's all good. Yeah, Roach Hydra is not bad. Roach Ravager is also fucking super strong. If you want to go ground styles, one thing I would recommend, and just like if the game gets to a point where you're both gonna like max out or just high supply, always make like 4 Ravagers in your army, or like 5 Ravagers, and then every single time you fight concave versus concave, just cast like 2 corrosive vials every 5 seconds on his clumps of his units, because it will force him to move his clumps of his units, which wastes a shitload of DPS that he could be doing, or he'll just eat it and it'll do a lot of damage. It's a good mobility, like abusive tool to your opponent to fuck them over. Yeah, now this is the map control part of the game again, and then from here, really just however the map control is going, you have to kind of just like decide. And then if you can actually get to the point where like you break your opponent and you start going to the roach phase, you should stop kind of making lings around that point and instead go into roaches and you just get ready for the roach timing. And if you set the game up well enough, you will crush your opponent. Like they'll never hold.
Do I want to be just roach production completely, or do I want to try to get my third base saturated?
You want to get your third base saturated. That's the idea, the ideal thing. But if your opponent puts you in a situation where they're already saturated and they're making roaches, well, if you just drone, you're gonna die. Like so, it becomes a situation that's fucking. You've kind of already lost the game at that point. If you're stuck in that kind of a position, you have to do something weird and efficient, like do a counterattack, or fucking you're going into mutas and I just ended up going to mass roach and you killed my army. But there's really no way around it. Like if you're just behind an economy and you're trying to make the same units, you're dead. That's clever. I like the idea. But it's all just map control, like we were talking about before.
GG.
GG.
At what point were you putting down your roach horn?
When I was almost fully saturated on my natural.
Okay.
I
delayed that by a lot.
Yeah, we can like look at the worker graph, and you can see there's a point in the game where around like 6 minutes, where we're taking fights. But then while we're taking fights and we're having Lingbane go back and forth, a huge fucking drone wave comes out. And that's the drone count before that was like probably 39 for me and 36 for you or so. It was really close. But then it just spikes up to like fucking 55 drones.
Oh yeah.
And this was because you had that moment where you beat me in Ling B.
Exactly.
And I was
focusing
on Ling 4 and you just droned out.
Yep. The whole point is if you take a good fight. By the way, thank you for the sub, ST Davis. I appreciate it, man. If you take a good fight where you just, because you got to think about it, you got to always in the back of your mind think about how much larva did I just spend and how much larva did he just spend. And if one of your banelings knocks out 10 of your opponent's zerglings, you just spent 0.5 larva to kill 5 larva. And that now you know that much larva is now deleted out of the game. And if you do that a couple times in a row with like 2 or 3 banes, and let's say you spend 3 banelings to kill 30 lings, which happens a lot in this kind of shit because it's fucking constant battles everywhere. You just spent 1.5 larva to kill 15 larva, and 15 larva is like a full minute of time on 3 bases. You basically get like 5 larva that's not actually true. You get more like 7 larva per minute per base, or like 8. So
okay.
That's if you have perfect injects as well.
Okay. And then 6 gas, or how many gas?
With this,
when you're on
if you're
full through base?
If you're going for just the roaches straight up, you want to go for 3 gas. Once you're fully saturated on 2 bases, that's when you like throw on the roach horn. You're still mining on 1 gas. That's when you'll throw down like 2 more gases to go up to 3 gas, and then you'll try to saturate your 3rd mineral line as well, like while doing all of this. But 3 gas saturation is ideal with this. And once you're fully saturated on 3 bases, then you can go, what am I going to do with my build? Am I going to go for mass roaches? Am I going to go for hydras? Am I going to go for mutas? The more expensive gas tech you're going to go for, the more gases you should make. But if you're just going to max on roaches, I would recommend just throwing down a 4th gas. So you can get like upgrades as well, like roach speed and +1 range weapons or whatever.
Okay. So I was thinking, watch the replay. Let me see when you put down your layer, when you put down everything, pretty much.
Yeah, that's cool.
And explain it.
Because that's the one reason why this build can be kind of confusing is because it's not always going to be the same thing. It depends how well you micro.
Yeah, because ZvZ is all about. It's going to be all about the Lingbane.
Yep.
How much larva efficiency, how efficient you can spend your larva.
Yeah. While
trying to drone up to the 3 base.
But this will be the most efficient way you can play, if you, like I said, if you get good at doing this. All right, I'm gonna speed up just a little bit at the beginning. So 17, 17, 16. Hatch, pool, gas. We make 4 lings. And then 4 lings and 2 queens. And then we send our lings out while guarding my... Or, sorry, while taking my third. And then I see you're guarding yours, so... I know you're not going to attack my third, so I just go for a micro fight, see if we can win. Doesn't really matter either way. If you win or I win that fight, either one of us is going to lose most of our lings, so it's going to be really just like a trade. But now it goes into... I'm going to slow it down now. Once we hit like 32 supply, this is around the time when speed will finish, and also the bailing nest will be finishing. So now, around like 32 supply, we made a good like 10 larvae of lings, or like 8 larvae of lings. And on the field right now, we have I have 15 lings and 4 banes, and two more banes morphing. And I stopped at 28 drones. But now, as soon as I made this army, I'm already going to immediately go back into droning. Not even I will go back into droning before we even fight, because I'll do the thing of I'm going to leave 2 zerglings back at my base, and if I happen to fuck this up and lose the fight, I will immediately start remaking lings, going, oh fuck, I lost the fight, I got to make lings immediately. And I will make 2 banes off of those 2 lings I leave at home to buy the building lings time to finish and not just get overrun by just mass lings in my bases. Because everyone will go, oh, time to counterattack, and if they see no fucking defense, no contention, they'll just attack you. But if they see banelings on the ramps and shit or just moving around, they won't just YOLO into your base. And if they do, they'll get blown up by banes. So it's a good buffer to support your greed. And you can see I'm already going back to the drones on the production tab, and right now you're still making more lings. So this is when I'm going to start taking leads. Just because every single drone I make, the longer the game goes, the more money I'm going to be mining, and the more ahead I'll be. Like, you're making too many lings right now.
For trying to micro the ling bane, like sending 1 ling or 2 lings after a bane, is it better to try to do a box, or I know of another technique where you have your hotkey, you attack the bane, and then you shift click 1 or 2 lings out of it, and then you remake the control group and you click away.
Whatever you're more comfortable. It's whatever you're more comfortable with. Both can work. I would say do both of them and see what one you like more. I actually do both of them even now today. Like, it's not like I just do only one. Sometimes when shit's like everywhere, I will I will 100% micro the entire fight with my mouse and not actually use that control group and on the screen that I'm currently fighting in. And sometimes if, let's say, my opponent has like 4 banelings just sitting at his third and nothing's really guarding them, or like they're kind of out of position a little bit, I will literally attack a baneling, shift click a ling out, move my lings just for a second, so that 1 ling kind of goes by itself, do it again and do it again and do it again. So like 4 lings will all like stagger forward out of my control group, and then I'll resume controlling my control group, and I'll go back to about my business and whatever the fuck I'm doing. So it's really, you can do both. It's not just one or the other. Just whatever you're more comfortable with, just try to get good at doing that more often, and you'll get faster at it over time. And the quicker you do it, the better you can do fights like this.
Is there any other technique, or is that pretty much it?
That's all I do. Either mouse micro, or I will remove links from groups. But yeah, like, well, the fight ended so what should have, I'm gonna pause it one more time. So a minute ago, you were really passive. You should also not be as passive as you are. If you're gonna do a build like this, if you're always the one on defense, and you're also making lings, you're losing the game. The only time you should ever be on defense is if you were the one that goes, oh fuck, I have no units really, other than a couple, and my opponent is made mass lings and he's flooding me, and now I gotta make lings to deal with what's coming across the map. If that's the position you're in, then yes, you should be on defense, because your opponent has way less drones than you, and that's because he made lings way faster than you. But if you make lings at the same time as your opponent, you should never just sit there and let them come all the way to your base, because what that actually does is that gives me more opportunities to make mistakes over you. It makes it to where you can't make a mistake, because if you do, your drones will die. Like, you're going to open up an attack avenue of me to just go straight into your drone line after the fight's over, because I have to run for 3 seconds and I'm now in your drone line. Whereas if you actually just fight in the middle of the map with your lings and you just try to take fights like trades in the middle of the map back and forth, your overlords are telling you where the lings are going, because if you have like a decent overlord spread, so you'll know where the fights are gonna happen, and whether or not you win or lose a fight, you have time to judge if you need to make lings or if you can drone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I do notice when I play ZvZ, when I'm on the defensive, I usually just stick at home, and I don't try to pressure that much.
Yeah, because if you stick at home and you just stay on defense and you just keep making lings, well, that's great if I'm all-inning you and I'm not making any drones either, because then we're just gonna keep trading over and over and over. But if I'm droning while you're making lings and I just draw the fight out for more and more time, you're falling behind every second that goes by.
Yeah, I guess my idea was that if I stay at home, my reinforcements are much, much quicker into the fight, so therefore I'll eventually, if I obviously don't throw away all my links to a Bane, I'll be able to win the fight.
I would agree with that logic in most compositions other than Ling Bane versus Ling Bane. Because Ling Bane, no matter how many reinforcements you have, if you have Banelings running into your mineral line, you are going to take some heavy losses, because it's going to be so fucking hard to not have a wasteful amount of lings hitting the Banes, or not losing your drones, and then launching a counterattack. Even if let's say you actually took a decent fight with your lings, but you lost your drones or something like that, my Banes just blew up on drones, and you're launching an attack with like 20 more supply than me. All 20 of that supply could be zoned out by like 4 Banelings, and then while I'm making more shit. So it's just, numbers count for nothing in Ling Bane Wars. It's all about just like the positioning more than numbers, and the positioning should definitely be as far away from your base as possible if you're both going Ling Bane. Like, you want to always keep the fight on your opponent's side of the map if at all possible.
Yeah.
And then every time you have your opponent on defense, you can just, if you have no units, that's when you should ideally make another army, so you can resume keeping them on defense or resume fighting for map control. And whenever that happens again, that's when you drone safely. And I know you can see it too. The drone count is kind of heavily in my favor, because I'm always keeping you on defense. So you're the one who's uneasy about, okay, fuck, am I gonna die right now, or am I gonna be able to hold this? And me, I'm.
And by the.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. By the time I feel comfortable make a Roach Warren, you're already getting +1. You're already on layer.
Yeah. It's just because I had the comfort of going, even if I fucking lose this fight, I have about a good 15 to 20 seconds before you're going to launch a counterattack, because you have to then run across the map. So I was always taking superior, like, drone count, because I would always be like, I could be greedy. Because even if I lose this fight, I'll be able to defend myself. I could be greedy. Again. And now, once you get to this, if you ever are in this position where you're the one who has superior drones, and you're both doing, Ling Bane into Roach, you are going to most likely just win the game, because it's literally going to be impossible for you now to defend the Roaches. Because if you just make Roaches at this point, you will never make as many as me, because I have more everything than you. And if you make, like, let's say you make Spines in your natural, and you're like, I'm going to go for some type of tech, it doesn't matter what it is, Mutas, Infestors, Swarmos, Hydras, Lurkers, your third will guaranteed die. And if you try to defend your third, you're going to just lose, because you're never going to be able to defend that. But if you actually, let's say, defend your natural with tech, you're going to lose anyways, because you're going to run out of money, and you're going to lose a resource game. Because I could just take a 4th and just bombard you with units at that point. Yeah, and then this game is kind of just like, deal is sealed.
Yeah, it's just a move.
Yeah, pretty much. All I gotta do at this point is just inject, make Roach, auto attack.
Okay. Yeah, that helps a lot.
Right.
Because I've been struggling. I keep going back to that +1 Roach build, because it works sometimes if they don't scout it, but as soon as they do, they'll just Ling Bane or Ling Bane Flood. And if I'm going for the Roach build, I'm focusing on droning before I get any really defensive units.
Yeah. Alright, I'll watch you and you and Minions play another one if you want. And yo, Minions, thanks for playing, man. Mr. Minions. Oh. All right, so yeah, just keep those key concepts in mind this game and just work on them, I guess. A good, healthy drone count is a good offense. You got to be greedy with the offense.
Keep the concepts in mind and don't lose all my rings to them.
Yeah. It's just, like, I would say your camera should be watching your offensive force most of the time. And this build, if you do it all the time, it'll also teach you to really watch the minimap. Because if you don't, you're going to lose games sometimes by being like, oh, fuck, I didn't see him flooding me when he was and I made drones. Like, you have to really pay attention to the minimap with this to know if your opponent's going to flood you or drone.
Would the pool before gas, pool before gas, 1817 work for ZvT as well?
Yeah, it works in every matchup. The only trade-offs would be you would have a slightly slower speed against like a Reaper All-In, and you'd have a slightly slower speed against a double Gateway Adept Opener. But
yeah, but Queens would buffer for that.
Yeah, like it's well the speed difference is so minor that it's not gonna like cost you the game. It's like a 6-second difference.
And the larva efficiency makes all the difference.
Yeah, well it's really minor either way. The only thing that's really gonna change that would actually I would say improve would be it would make it to where if someone was like doing a bunker proxy with Marines, you could have Lings and Queens a little faster and start a spine quicker. Or if someone was cannon rushing you, you could go into like Ravagers slightly faster because you'd have a pull quicker. But it's really minor in those matchups. Because you don't really see cheese like that very often. But in ZvZ, you see one base all-ins a lot. I like the Overlord pathing better this game. So your first Overlord that scouts, you should always, I like what you're doing with it. You should always scout for the edge of creep and then just back up, just to make sure you know he expanded, and you're doing that, so that's really good. You never want to be super blind. Don't forget the Baneling Nest.
Do I want to be chasing down these things?
Yeah, you do. You should definitely chase them because if you leave, he's going to deny your third. Now this is when you're going to want to make probably another Overlord and just start making Lings. And you'll want to make probably like 10 supply of Lings. So you'll overall have about like 20 to 24 Lings. If your first 4 live or not. And then that's what you can launch your first map control force with. Again, leave 2 of them back at your base. Just in case you need Banes if you fuck up a fight or run into a Baneling. And you can start aggressively morphing Banelings and really going for either his third or his mineral line. It's really up to you. Either anything works, really. I would say if he has no army left over, I would probably go for the mineral line. I think killing drones is ideal. If you had no Banes, I would probably kill the third. But if you have like Banes left over, I would probably go for the mineral line. That would be my rule of thumb. And now you should be droning behind this. You have some larva sitting there. And don't forget to inject. It's going to be kind of complicated That's why you gotta pick your moments when you have a second to spare. So you're not trying to inject as the fight's happening, but when you're moving, that's when you should be injecting. And don't forget either, the other rule of thumb, every single time a fight happens, make a couple extra Banes. Make a couple Banes. Now you should be morphing those Banes at home, which you already did. And you should be making more Lings right now. Because now you're going to be getting counterattacked because you just sacrificed some Lings to kill a third. So you want to... Don't wait for him to get there though. Go pressure him mid-map. Like, go start pushing him with your Lings. The more opportunities you get to blow up his Lings, the better. Now make a couple more Banes. Because you just took a fight. The last thing you want to do is just let him have free fucking reign to run straight into your middle line. Now you lost a lot there, so make another round of Lings. And you can start a Roach Warren now, and I would say start like double gas after this fight. It's all good. It just comes in time with getting comfortable with all of this. But I do think the one thing you do way too much is you're way too passive. You let your opponent, you're way too passive, you let your opponent just bully you into your corner of the map every time. You should be very active with going back and forth, trying to make your opponent run into your Banes, and just fighting him as much as you can. You should think about it like you're fucking arm wrestling someone, and you want to, like, in an arm wrestling match, you never just, like, go limp and let him push you all the way to the end, and then fight back. You gotta be fighting back the entire fucking time, and trying to take control of it the whole time. Yeah, like you're doing well right now. You're giving yourself a lot of room to work with, and you just killed 2 Banes with 2 Lings. That's good. And meanwhile, while you're doing this, always try to remember to keep macroing. Like, just make a round of drones or a round of whatever the fuck you're gonna make. And then get aggressive. You won the map control fight a second ago, now you need to be the one attacking him. The only thing that should ever stop you from attacking him is when he has Roaches. Because if you're gonna attack with Ling Bane into like 10 Roaches, you're gonna lose that fight. Because you're not flooding him with all-in Ling Bane, you're just pressuring. Okay, so now he does have Roaches, so now this is when you should stop. And now you should know, oh shit, okay, he's got Roaches, I need Roaches. This game, you guys are pretty close, but so with you seeing those Roaches and you not having them on the field, you know you're behind right now.
My Roach Worm or my lair is just the Roach Worm lair and the Evo Chambers are just so late.
Yeah. It's because you're focusing a lot on the Ling Bane, and again, that'll just come in time. Like, you'll get more comfortable with the tempo of the whole thing. The more you do it. Because there was a few times you had quite a bit of money and quite a bit of Larva chilling.
Yeah.
And that's always something you can just improve on. But yeah, I definitely see improvement in this time compared to the last time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I see it. I hate ZvZ so much.
You just gotta keep that concept in mind. I think honestly the analogy I gave you is very accurate of an arm wrestling match. if you just let your opponent push you all the way to your end, it's so much harder for you to work with that. Like if the back of your hand is about to touch like the table, it's so much harder to fight in that position than it is when your hand's straight up. And it's the same fucking thing in Ling Bane versus Ling Bane. If you let your opponent just freely push you all the way to your base, it's so much harder to defend not only your drones and your mineral lines and all that shit, because it's so much more things that could go wrong on your side. And if you fuck up at all, he can then he just wins because the rest of his lings actually start ravaging your mineral lines. Whereas if you're fighting in the middle of the map or even on his side as much as you can, he's the one who's being pressured. He's the one who's being pushed back. And if he fucks up at all, he can lose the game in 2 seconds. So definitely be more aggressive with your Ling Bane. You don't have to all in with it. Just try and take trades on his side of the map rather than wait for them on your side of the map.
Yeah, I keep tunnel visioning, thinking that if I'm doing Ling Bang, I've got to kill him now, or else I'm not going to be able to transition.
Yeah.
And that's just the wrong idea.
It's all about pressure and droning.
Because even now, I'm looking at the graphs of workers and then army. I had a much bigger economy, probably 10, 15 drones larger than him at the very end. And it's just, he still overpowered me. It's just I didn't transition to Roach fast enough, and my macros just slipped so much.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, overall, it's going well, man. You're improving on that build, and it's a very hard build to do. It's one of the hardest builds you can do to get used to because it requires you to do multitasking the whole game, and it's all about like, can you take trades better than your opponent and squeeze more drones out because of that? And then once you get to the Roach part, though, the game becomes much easier. It's a lot of the time it's usually just like whoever can take the trade phase of the game better than the other will just set themselves up to win the game automatically.
Yeah.
Like the Roach phase is really... Go ahead.
Yeah. If I get good at this, it'll set me up for a lot better things. It'll improve my macro, it'll improve my multitasking.
Yeah, it really will.
Matchups.
It will. This is the hardest build to do in ZvZ in terms of like... It's a well-rounded build you can do in every single map, and every single time you play against a Zerg, you can always do this build on every map, and it transitions to anything you want. It is the most effective way to play that matchup if you want to just have one opener of every game. Because obviously there are going to be some people who do other weird shit around it, but this build can deal with everything, because this build requires your opponent to fucking
make lanes.
Yeah, he has to do something. The only part of this build that you need to pay attention to is if your opponent actually does the build that you like as well, the wall off, go roach speed, that shit. You have two options of how you can deal with it. One would be you just take the win of saying, oh, my opponent's never going to take a third now because he's walling off and going roaches. Or, and then, so it's like, if you see that, you could be like, okay, I'm going to saturate my third a little bit, and I'm just going to make roaches as well with a little bit of a better economy than him, and then defend. I'll be the one defending, and I'll try to push him back with a better economy and slowly overpower him. That's one way you could deal with it. Another way you could deal with it would be just all-inning him, like what you die to when you say you do that build. Just be like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to all-in you now on 3 bases of Ling Bane.
Yeah.
It's really just up to you, whatever you feel more comfortable with.
If they decide to go 2-base Muta, they always go Ling Bane, but when people go Muta, they go Ling Bane, but if they get to the Muta, am I pretty much screwed, or is it just Spore Queen and try to get to Infestors?
If they go 2-base Muta, and you're 3-base Roach style, you're ahead. Because
and just Spores and Queens until I get Infestors?
It depends how far along you are in your build. If, like, let's say your opponent's 2-base Mutating, and he didn't do a single, like, very little to no lings on the map at all. No map, he didn't fight for map control at all, really. Then he just let you do whatever the fuck you wanted, and you analyze this, and you go, and you, let's say you scouted him a couple times with lings, and you saw, okay, this guy's got a spine crawler, and all of his gases, he's rushing mutas. And you just saw that, and you went, okay, I'm fucking flooding drones off 3-base compared to his 2-base. So you have 3-base saturation fully saturated by the time he has 2-base fully saturated. Or maybe slowly, like slightly after. Either way, like you're 20 drones up on this guy. Let's say that's the scenario. You could totally just make like one spore per mineral line and go straight to Hydralisk with roaches, and you would overpower him.
Okay.
Like you don't have to go less spore. It depends on how quickly you read his build.
Yeah, because he's on 2 base. He doesn't have much of an economy for mutas.
Yeah, it'll be exactly. Like you will overpower mutas with hydras at that point.
And then even +1 queens. I'll already have a +1 because of the roach build I'm doing. But the queens, I'll be able to defend it easily.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Easy peasy. Yeah. One more thing that's kind of like on the other matchups. ZvT. At what point should I be transitioning to Hive? Given that it's just a simple, all Harassi's done is just double medevac at the 5-minute mark. I've defended it decently well. Maybe lost like say 3 or 4 drones.
What kind of build are you doing?
I've been sticking to the 3 base in 5 minutes. Lean Bane.
Okay. And you're talking about just like versing bio?
Yeah, it's just bio, maybe tanks. Let's add some tanks in there.
You should transition to Hive if you don't break his economy ever, and you aren't able to actually like cripple him in any way, and the game just keeps you keep trading your army against Marines and medevacs, and that's it. You never actually kill command centers or SCVs. You should probably go Hive. By the time you take like your 5th base or your 4th base, pretty much I'd say your 5th base. When you're on your 4th base, you could very easily go Mass Link Bane Muta. But
okay.
If you go Mass Ling Bane Muta, let's say you make like 20 mutas and then just Mass Ling Bane with good creep spread, you could win a lot of fights with that and the game with that even. But if your opponent starts going into like, let's say he has like a 4th base planetary with like Thor guarding his bio and also some tanks, you're not really going to want to be going Mutiling Bane that much anymore against that, and instead you would prefer to do something like either Broodlord or like Ultralisk or something stronger than mutas.
Yeah, because I've noticed in my play that my transition to Hive is very slow. I tend to stick on Lair Tech a lot for way too much, and I tend to get overpowered by 3-3 again in ZvT. So I've been trying to transition to Hive faster, but it's been more of like I'm putting down my infestation pit pretty much right before I finish saturating, or not right before I finish saturating my 3rd. Right as I put down my 4th, I'm transitioning to Hive as quick as I can, and I'm in this pretty much. I'm flipping a coin of whether he's going to do a timing against me, or I can get Hive units out.
The best thing, the best thing you can do is if you're struggling against Terran where you can't actually make it to Hive without dying, just tell yourself, I'm never going to take a fight off creep unless it's to sneak attack a mineral line. Don't ever take fights off creep, because if you don't take fights off creep, you will save a lot more gas and a lot more resources overall at your engagements, just how effective they are. And you will be able to actually go Hive faster because you won't have to expend so many Banelings all the time. Whereas if you take fights off creep, you're wasting like 30% more resources on more Banelings that you need, because he's able to kite you longer and more effectively.
Okay. And only at Hive Tech when I have like Brood Lords or something, then I could start to push off.
Well, you could even just stay on. You could totally stay on Mutiling Bane as well in Hive Tech and just get Adrenal 3/3, and then level 3 weapons on mutas or something. That's still also viable. It just depends on how well you're taking fights. Like if you're always breaking the medevac count over and over with your mutas, and you're keeping his supply like low for a macro game, like he won't be like 10 supply or something, but like if you're always killing his army and resetting him, you could still totally win the game on Ling Bane Muta, because all it would take then is one good fight for you, and then just launching an attack on an expansion, and then overpowering bits and pieces of his economy. But if you're not really confident in doing that, if like every time you take a fight, you're like, oh man, he's actually like slowly just crippling me, and I'm the one getting fucked over, then yeah, you should slowly turn the game into like Ultralisk or Broodlord with Infestor support.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, just don't take fights off creep. That's the big thing. Always try to have creep actively pushing towards his base, even if he's scanning and denying it. Just replace it and try to keep it going, because if you take fights on creep, you will have a lot more money to work with, because you won't waste as much.
Alright, awesome. Well, I think that's our hour. Thanks for the coaching lesson. Sorry it's been kind of like, hey, can we do it now?
Oh, it's all good, man. I don't mind. You're all good. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, well, thanks for the lesson, and good luck with the rest of the stream.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I'll talk to you later, bro. I'll see you on stream.
Have a good one.
You too, man. See ya. Alright, guys. End of coaching lesson. Coaching lesson. End. Hope you guys liked it. I'll put that